You are watching this special presentation of Grant Lee Journalism here on YouTube. Hi everyone, Grant Comedy with you as always as I bring you today's discussion, the Sweet 16 of March Madness, and the most anticipated heavyweights here in the month of March. Who will get to go to the Elite Eight, and what's at stake for both teams? You'll get to find out, as much more. Starting with Texas and Purdue, the Cinderella powerhouse of Texas. The only double-digit seed remaining under coach Sean Miller. Not expected to be here at all, given all the pressure to Purdue. Meanwhile, for Purdue, this is a must-win game for head coach Matt Painter. If they don't win this game, they're screwed. They won the Big Ten championship, and they're trying to get back to the Final Four. They are 8-point favorites. If they don't win this game, the offseason will be a long offseason. Now, Iowa and Nebraska. Here's how Iowa can win and what's at stake for them. They need to rely on sophomore Alvarado Folguera, who just hit the game winner against Florida to bust everyone's bracket as there's no more brackets remaining perfect in March Madness. If Iowa can force turnovers, just as they did in the regular season against Nebraska, then they will be in the Elite Eight for the first time since 1987. And Nebraska, how they can win. They are favored in this game, but that doesn't mean anything. We've looked before. They need to replicate their regular season success where they hit school records for three-pointers with Braden Frager in the backcourt. If they can do that, Nebraska will go to their first ever Elite Eight. Arkansas and Arizona. For Arkansas, plain and simple, validation. They have been the most consistent team all year, and an Elite Eight berth would solidify them as a team to beat. Meanwhile, for Arizona, they're just looking for their first Elite Eight in 10 years. Over 10 years actually. The last time they went to an Elite Eight was 2014 and 2015 season, and they are looking for their first Elite Eight under Tommy Lloyd. Illinois and Houston. For Illinois, a program legacy for Brad Underwood. A win would lead him to his second Elite Eight in 3 years, silencing the critics who question his early tournament exits. For Kevin Sampson and Houston, it's a chance to return to the Elite Eight for the fourth time in 6 seasons. And Houston has some home turf pride as this game will be in Houston, as they are trying to reach the Final Four in a year where they're the reigning national championship runner-ups, which is a bitter pill to swallow, and losing in their own city would be a tough choke for them because nobody wants to lose in their own city. St. John's and Duke. Let's talk about St. John's first. A historic return for the St. John's Red Storm. This is the first Sweet 16 for them since 1999, before I was born, and a win would signal that the program is officially back in its glory day with Rick Pitino. Meanwhile, for Duke, Jon Scheyer's quest for a title is still loading. For Duke, reaching the Elite Eight for a third consecutive year would continue to validate Scheyer's leadership as from the post-Coach K era to the Scheyer legacy continues. Duke needs to unleash Cameron Boozer. And for St. John's, they need Bryce Hopkins to have a good game. That is what's at stake for Duke and St. John's. Alabama and Michigan. This is my game of the week. It's going to shock a lot of people, but I think whoever wins this game will be ended up in the Final Four. Let's start with Alabama. They are the historic consistency. Nate Oates has led the Tide to 4 straight Sweet 16s. A win would put them in the Elite Eight for the third consecutive year, a feat no program has ever done in this stretch. Meanwhile, for Michigan, a new era validation. For Michigan, Dusty May's first deep run as a Michigan coach, looking for his second Final Four ever and second Elite Eight ever. He did that with FAU, and this would solidify Michigan as the #1 team in the country. Michigan State and UConn. Whoever wins this one will face Duke or St. John's for a trip to the Final Four in Indianapolis. That sounds good every time I say that. The road to the Final Four. Okay, back to Michigan State and UConn. A three-peat quest for UConn as they were the back-to-back champions in 2023 and 2024. And a win here keeps them from being the first team since 1960 to do such a feat in 5 years. The other team was the UCLA dynasty back in the 1960s. And for Michigan State, a win over the defending champs would propel Tom Izzo to his 11th Elite Eight, further cementing his reputation as the greatest underdog coach in tournament history. Last game, Iowa State versus Tennessee. The key theme for this game is this: breaking historical curses. Iowa State entering this game, they are 1-6 all time in the Sweet 16, the lowest winning percentage in tournament history. For teams with at least 7 appearances, a win would be the first trip to the Elite Eight since 2000. That is 26 years. For Tennessee, they have been historically poor against top 2 seeds in the tournament, 1-9 all time. This is their 4th straight Sweet 16 appearance. But Coach Rick Barnes is fighting to break through in his first Final Four appearance with the Vols. Thanks for watching today's episode of the Sweet 16. Thank you for watching this special presentation of Grant League Journalism here on YouTube. Now you get a better understanding of what's at stake for the Sweet 16. I'll see you back for the Elite Eight.